Haha! We are live. My name is Lee Matthew Jackson, and today over there is WordPress. And WordPress is extremely powerful. And today I want to just hang out with you for the next 20 or 30 minutes and build a contact database for an SMB, a small to medium business. If you refer to yesterday's live stream, I shared with you some of the tools that we utilize as an agency to build out the MVPs, the minimum viable product, for either our clients or for ourselves. So we're going to build an MVP contact database, and we will talk about how that can be expanded further as well. Now, the first thing you want to do when you are building a database application is to have a think about its structure. So what we've done is we've gone into Excel here, and let me just switch up the screen so you can see in a bit more detail. You can see here that we've started to plan the overall structure. We've got 3 different data sets across here along the bottom. And we've also listed the fields that we wish for each one. So in our contact, we've got first name, last name, email, phone, company. The company is a relational field. In the company, we also have the company name. We could have other details. For now, as this is an example, we'll just throw in the phone, and then we've got the contact. So that's the bi-relational. And then equally in the opportunity, which is an opportunity to do business, which you would find in, say, a CRM system, we've listed out the opportunity name. Would you say a naming convention, the amount, the company, the contact owner, and the owner, which we would tend to use the author field for, although you can also use a relational field. So that's kind of the structure we would look at doing, and we're utilizing a few pretty cool plugins to do this. Let's go into the plugins and just take a look at what is active. So we're using a Cloudways installation. I'd just like to delete this and Hello Dolly. I can't stand those 2 plugins. There we go. So here's the basic burger that we have. We've got Admin Columns Pro with the ACF add-on that allows us to structure our data in a really nice view. We've got the Admin Menu Editor Pro. That's going to allow us to control what people see down here. We've got bot protection, just a standard and breeze, a standard that comes with the default installation. We then have the custom post type UI for creating the custom post types, and the user role editor, which allows us to create the unique user roles. So let's take a look at our first step, which is to create the user role. The first thing I want to do is create a user role for the, say, let's say it's going to be the head of sales. So we'll call the user role sales. So let's go to user role editor. I'm going to clone the editor role. So let's go over here, clone the editor, and just type in sales, add role. I'm then going to go into all users, and I'm going to upgrade the test user to the role of sales. So if we update that, and then if we refresh, I'm logged in on a different screen as the test user. If I reload, I should now be able to do all of that stuff inside of WordPress. Now, I want to essentially lock all of that down in a second, but first I want to create those data types that we've established in here, which is contact, company, and opportunity. So to do that, I'm going to go into the custom post type UI, and I'm going to add a new post type. So let's, Matt Meir says, are we talking a CRM? So into this, kind of, I'm going to touch on it a little bit. There's going to be no time to go deep in there, but you've definitely got the ability. And contact database, yeah, I detect a bit of sarcasm potentially from Matt, or he's fully behind me. And I also agree with you there. No respect for Hello Dolly. Let's get into this. So we've got contact. So that's the slug, and we're going to say the plural of contact is contacts and contact. The cool thing about this plugin is it will take this and it will automatically create all of these for us. They're the naming conventions, so you kind of don't have to worry about that. As this, though, is a private database, it's an internal database, you don't actually want this to be publicly queryable or visible to external users. You potentially want to disable it in REST API unless you want to integrate with something, etc. We're going to say false to having an archive because we're not showing the data in the front end. We're managing everything in the back end. I'm going to exclude it from search as well. We don't want that coming up in search. The post capability type is fine as post. Rewrite, that's the rewrite rules for the front end. Doesn't really matter, but we will just leave it there as the default. That's pretty much everything else is fine. Now, what do I want it to support? I want it to support, for now, at least just the title. I'm glad you clarified. I can't tell sometimes when people write stuff, Matt, you can't tell. So I'm going to disable the editor, and I'm also going to disable the featured image because I don't think I need that, but I'm going to keep the title in there. And I can also use an icon for this. So I kind of like doing that. Let's go to dash icons and let's find ourselves a pretty icon that we can use for contacts. And we'll just use this. It's not actually what I'd normally go for, but hey, what the hell? What else do we need? We don't need at this point any taxonomies, although we can relate taxonomies in the future. So if we add the post type, you can now see that contacts has appeared, which is pretty damn cool. I'm going to create the other two post types pretty quickly. So let's just go through this. We've got company. I can never type when people are watching. All shut your eyes, please. Companies, and then company. And then I'm going to do the same again. Scroll down. All that's going to be done for me, but we're going to say, false, false. We do want to show it in the UI, etc. We want to disable it for now from REST API because I'm not going to use that, although I can make that present. I don't need that. I'm going to exclude it from search, yada, yada, yada. Let's just, again, delete those elements. So we're keeping it super simple. And then finally, we want our opportunity. So opportunity, I believe is how you spell it. No. There you go, opportunities with a capital O, and I am so sorry that you are watching me type this up. Opportunity, the singular. And again, we will quickly scroll down, and we will just do that little magic. We don't want things publicly queryable, show UI, don't show in the rest, don't need an archive, exclude from search, blah, 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 blah. I'm pretty sure we've covered everything. But we've got the absolute basic burgers. We've now got contacts, companies, and opportunities. Companies I'm going to leave with a pin. I am, though, going to edit this post type and just put in a separate icon just to differentiate them all. So, whoops, let's go back to custom post types and go to edit and select opportunities. And we're going to scroll down. We're going to grab a different icon for opportunities. And I'm pretty sure there's a money icon somewhere. Give me the money. Show me the money. Money. You're all screaming at me, aren't you? Because you can see money. Let's just... I can't see it. I was sure there was a coin one. Hello? Let's just use, for giggles, these houses. That's the multi-site icon. Let's just use that for shits and giggles. Pardon my French. Save. Okay, that just differentiates. So we've got our contact, companies, and our opportunities. Next, what I want to do is I want to control what the sales profile guy can see. So let's refresh this. I can see these data sets, but I don't want him to see everything else. I don't need him to see everything else. So let's go, to settings, and we're going to go to the menu editor pro. So at this point, I can click on sales and I can say, you don't need to see post. I don't need to see paid media, pages, comments. We don't need the separator. We're going to leave users there because we do need them to be able to reset their own password. We don't need settings. And in users, we just need them to have profile. That's their own profile. Let's remove settings as well and save changes. So if we switch back now, we have a significantly reduced platform. We've got our contact, our company, and our opportunity tables. You can also control what people see in here with the very same plugin. So if we go into dashboard widgets, it's going to detect what there is, and we can essentially close off all of these widgets, which is great. Let's remove the welcome one as well. Save. Then what you can do is you can create some of your own. So contact database. Welcome to the contact database. And the cool thing here is you can actually use shortcodes if you've done a little bit of code or you're using some ACF shortcodes to display some data, maybe latest posts and stuff like that. You could also throw those in as your widgets, which is pretty damn cool. For Acme Limited. So let's save that. That's for everybody. You can do this per user role as well, which is pretty damn cool. But right now, I'm not going to bother. Let's go back into dashboard. And now we have a very clean and crisp dashboard with access to everything down here on the left-hand side. There is also a plugin available to you from Admin Editor Pro if you're going to use them. And you can control what happens up here as well in the toolbar. So you can get rid of the WordPress menu. You can rename everything. You can add things in there like help, etc. You also can hook in to, I think you can hook into there as well. I've not tried that, but anyway. Right, contacts. Let's get some fields created for our contact database. So to do that, we're going to go into custom fields and we're going to create a new field group called contact. And this is going to be related to the contact post type. Let's take a look. We want first name, last name, email, and phone and company. So let's create our first field, first name. Let's say the first name is required because everyone should have a first name. Last name is not required, but we're capturing it anyway. What else have we said? We want email, phone, company. So let's add email. And there is an email field which will do the validation for you. And again, you can say this is required. We want the phone, which is awesome. And they think they have a phone. Do they have a phone? I could be lying. Maybe it's a number. Yeah. Let's give it a number for now. And I think you can do, from memory, you'll probably be able to do formatting, etc. But let's not do that right now. And then finally, we want company. So we can use a relationship field here. Excuse me. And there are actually a few options that you can do. You can do a post object, so you can link to a post object. You can link to a link as in a page URL. So that's external link page URL. I'm going to use a relationship. And this will allow me in the future, if I want to do things like reverse lookups as well. So I could say that against the company, there are so many opportunities related to it, etc. So let's go ahead. Do I want search? Yes. I want to filter it out by post type, and I only want it to search the company for records. I'm going to return the post object, or although I could do the post ID, I could just say change that at any point that I want to. So I think that's good enough, at least for now, for us to just hit publish. And then if we switch over here and click on add new contact, you can now see, nice and simple. I don't even have Classic Editor installed because I got rid of the editor, which gets rid of Gutenberg in its entirety. I now have a nice little box here with my details, and I can relate multiple field groups to this at any point. Please keep commenting, by the way, folks, if you're watching, just to keep me going so I know that you're not falling asleep. But I can now add some information about this. Now, this title I tend to leave in there because I actually like to put the person's full name that I might use, or use that as a naming convention and as an identifier. If we don't use that field, you're going to see that it's called auto draft in the data set. So what you'll need to do is use a hook and a bit of code that will automatically create some sort of title or some sort of ID for you, which is why I tend to, when I'm lazy and doing an MVP, I tend to leave this in. So let's just say Lee Jackson, and then let's put in some of this data. So we've got Lee Jackson, lee@angledcrown.com, phone number, and there are no companies to relate yet, so let's just hit publish. So we've got our first data set. Let's add in the looking forward to the reveal at the end. Cheers, bro. Let's go ahead and add another field group to company because we want to capture some of the other data as well. So in the company, we want to relate that to the company post type, and let's see what we planned here. We want to have company, phone, and contact for now. Now the contact, yeah, let me come back to that. So that's fine. Company. So we've got company. We'll use title for the company name. That just makes that nice and easy. We do at least want phone. We'll just say number for now. Let's say we want the address as well or something like that. And I'm just going to be super lazy and use a text area. I wouldn't recommend that. I would actually recommend address line 1, 2, 3, all that sort of stuff. Postcode, county, yada, 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 you name it. You've got it. What else should we have? Let's have a corporate email. And we can also do our relations. Now, I'm pretty sure I can do a reverse lookup on relations. So I haven't done it for a long time. So let me leave that out, remove, and we can always come back to that. Publish. There may have to be a part 2. I don't know how long I'm going to go on for. I'm already 15 minutes in, and I'm not as far as I thought I was going to be. Here we have our companies. So let's switch back to our sales user. Let's go to companies. Let's add a new company, and we're going to say Agency Trail Blazer. Hadn't scratched the surface, mate. Oh, I'm here all day. Not literally. I need a nap. Phone number, address. I live there, apparently. Email address, I don't know, team at Agency Trailblazer. .com. Cool. So we now have a piece of data, some data now here for this particular company. Now, this doesn't look great for the user. They can see just Lee Jackson and just the company information. We can create the opportunities and all that later on. And again, depending on how much time we have, I might carry on a part 2 either tomorrow or next week. But if we take a look here, let's now make this view useful, because right now that is not useful to the end user. To do that, we're going to go into admin columns. So we'll go now into admin columns. We will select contacts, which we've already got. We've got the title, which is kind of the first name and last name for now. So we don't need the date it was created. Let's just leave that out. We go to add column, and we are going to add an advanced custom field, because we've got the add-on installed. And what field shall we show? Let's we've already got the name, so let's say we're going to show the email. Add column, advanced custom fields. There it is. And let's also say we're going to show the phone. Save. Now, this should show for everybody, but remember what you also can do is you can create multiple column sets and associate them with different views. So you could give an admin a different view versus the sales guy versus the marketing team versus whichever you want to do. If we just hit view, we can now see that we've started to build up a little bit of a picture. Now, I did notice that it said that something was empty. A label was empty. So I've got company. Let's go to contact. I may have missed I missed here on the relationship. I forgot to write. So what are we in here? We're in contact, so this needs to say company. Update. Cool. So let's switch back to the view of contacts. And when we're in admin, we can hop, skip, and jump back into admin columns just from there. Hit add column, and let's add in that company one as well. Update. Now then. It's getting cool already. If I refresh, I now have these options. I can see everything. It looks great. I can't see my related company because I've not related one yet, but let's go ahead and do just that. If we go back to the contact, go back to Lee Jackson and relate Agency Trailblazer and press update, then refresh, you will now see the Agency Trailblazer relationship, and we can go in to edit that Agency Trailblazer relationship as well. So we have Lee Jackson, his details in a nice column structure, and the related company that is there. We can also do the same with companies. So let's go ahead into companies. Let's get rid of date, remove, add column. Excuse me. So back to advanced custom fields, and let's just have email and phone. We don't really need the address because that would be massive. And I'm going to show you another cool trick. So please stay tuned because this is going to get awesome. It's going to blow your mind. Don't know why Carmen got involved. Let's take a quick look. Let's switch over to companies. Refresh. That's pretty awesome. I like the look of that. Now, let's have a quick look. I don't know if I could do this. I can't remember. But I thought I could do a... Yeah. So in part 2... tomorrow or next week, I need to show you how to do a cross relationship, and I can't actually remember off the top of my head, so I'm not going to make you all watch me, but let me show you the cool stuff. At the moment, it's very handy for me to be able to go to all companies and view this data. What would be even nicer would be is if I could edit some of that information from this screen or filter by it. So let's go back to Admin Columns Pro. Let's do the contacts first. Let's click into contacts, and we can now control all of the settings. And you see this download here? I'm going to say enable export on all of these fields. So I'm allowing people to export that data. I'm also going to allow the inline editing of all of these fields. I'm going to allow for bulk editing of them all, and I'm also going to allow for filtering. That's the smart filtering. You can also add, if you just want to add these elements, those will be the fixed filters on the screen. So I've activated everything so that we can go ahead and see it. If we go to contacts now, you can see I can export that data now as a CSV file, which is phenomenal, with all of the information I've requested. If I hit open, it's open over here. Here we go. There is the basic information, which is perfect. So if we've got loads of data, we can do things like exports, but also you can now see that we've got some standard fixed filters already. I used the number field for the phone and it's given me a min and a max. Don't do what I just did. But you get the idea. You can now filter this data if we had a huge data set, or you can go ahead and add your own filters as well through this system. You can also inline edit. So right now I can click on inline edit and change this to Lee Hansen, which were an amazing band, and I had a crush on one of them thinking it was a girl. The middle guy, I've forgotten his name. But anyway, so there you go, Lee Hansen. So there's a really nice view of what you can do there as well. So far, we have utilized the user role, and we've created the sales user role. We've utilized the custom post type UI so that we can create the custom post types. We've used the custom fields of advanced custom fields to be able to create all of the field groups. We've also done some data relations. And finally, we've used Admin Columns Pro to do some of the data layouts. Now, there is a comment in here from Jonathan. Wait until you do flexible content and repeater fields. You absolutely can use repeater fields, etc. So say, for example, you wanted to attach files against a contact. Let's just do that for giggles. Let's show you. So let's go into custom fields, field groups, go into the contact, and we're going to add another field. This is going to be a repeater, and we're going to say contracts. Let's say we want to track our contracts against the user rather than the company. It's up to you what you want to do. With a repeater, we need to add then our subfields. So let's just give this a title. So contract title. And then let's also add file, which would be the attachment itself that we want people to upload. Now, big warning, be super careful if you're going to do this, because if you're having people uploading private documents, etc., then they are probably accessible to the big bad wide world, and you're going to need to add some extra scripts in there to ensure that files are not accessible. At that point, you might be either using a membership plugin or you might be doing some of your own code. This is an MVP. This is actual not real data. This is just a demonstration for you, but do make sure that you are doing things securely. I'm going to leave this as file ID. I tend to use the file ID so that I can pull all the information out that I need to as well. So let's just hit update. Now let's go in as the user themselves. So I'm the salesperson. I've just sold a contract. I've now got this area here where I can add a new row, and I can say the such and such a contract, and I can add the file. Another contract, and another contract. So I've got access to all of those contract files automatically. Let's go back into here to edit. You can go further. You can say we need a minimum of one row at all time. We can show this as a block, a table, or a row. I can change the label, so add contract. And I can also change things like the width, etc. And I can start to lay different elements out. Here's a good example. If we go to first name and we say that we want this at 50% and the last name also at 50%. You see here we've also got things like placeholders, etc. So insert last name as an example. Update. Let's switch back over to the user and hit add new. And now we can see insert last name as our placeholder. We can see that the first name and the last name are adjacent to each other. It's 50-50. So you can start to design the look of how this presents. That wasn't English, but you get exactly what I mean. So you could do the same with email and phone. You could perhaps do the same with company and contracts as well. So it's a better use of space, and it's easy from left to right, etc., etc. Let's take a quick look. Where are we? We are going to go over a little bit. So we'll just do a little bit on opportunities, and then we will continue and say a part 2 and perhaps even a part 3. because perhaps we will want to display some of this data in the dashboard. Perhaps we want to tally up and do some sort of reporting as well in the future. So this will probably end up as a little mini series over the course of a few days or a few weeks. But as a reminder, we've got our contacts and we've got our opportunities. Sorry, we've got our contacts and our companies. We're now going to do our opportunities quickly. So in an opportunity is the opportunity to sell. So I have the opportunity, my name is Derek, and I have the opportunity to sell Lee Jackson a pen. I want to create that opportunity, but first I need to be able to track some fields. So let's go in and create opportunity. And bearing in mind, I'm trying to do the zero code method for everybody to see the real MVP, as it were. Let's create opportunity. We're going to use the title as the opportunity name. And if you have a CRM, I would recommend a naming convention for your opportunities, which perhaps includes an ID that you might have for your client. So it might have the client ID. You might have a very short description of what it is you're selling. You might also include a projected value or an area, but you just need to have some sort of naming convention because that really helps if you're then doing reporting at a later date. Right. So we've got our opportunity. Let's say we need a value. I don't think this does currency. It just does number, and then I then have to. I don't want color picker number. That I then have to add the formatting, etc. So I'm going to prepend a pound sign. Minimum value. I don't need to worry. I don't need to worry about step size or anything else like that. The other thing I might want to do is do probability. So let's do a select option for this, and let's do probability. And in the future, this allows us to report on the likelihood of winning that business. And that also allows us to do things in the future like projections. So based on the probabilities of your opportunities against the clients, you can then start to project your potential pipeline as a business. So I can now understand that I have £50,000 worth of business with these probability calculations. You know, some I'll win, some I may not win. And, I am projecting over the next quarter, I may sell up to X amount of thousands of pounds worth of items. And if that's not looking good based on the probability figures, I know I need to be generating more leads, etc. It's one of the powers of a CRM, which we highly recommend. So let's take a look at this. What we're going to do is we're going to put a value of, say, 10. That's the 10%. But then we're going to say what our choice, our option is. So let's say 10. We've got needs analysis. Discovery Blueprint, Anastasios, yes, the Discovery Blueprint is live. You should have received access if you've purchased it. It's agencytrailblazer.com/PDB. Right, needs analysis, thank you. So we've got 10 needs analysis. Let's say 30% will be more likely when we ask, I've got a really itchy nose, send proposal. Let's say 50% when we're in negotiation and review. In fact, let's change that to 80% because that's very likely. I'm assuming you have different steps. I'm just kind of jumping the gun here. Finally, we have 100%, which is closed won. Oh, my nose. Excuse me. And then we have 0%, which would be closed lost. Default value, we'll leave that for now. I don't want to allow null. I don't want to allow extra values. I want to return the label for now, which is all good. Right, okay. That should be enough information for now. Normally we'd have a description as well. Let's add a description field in because it's not very helpful if we don't have some data. And we also would need to relate a contact and a company. So let's do that as well. So let's do this. Details. We can use a text area for that. We don't need a WYSIWYG text area or anything, just basics. Let's also do a relationship field. So relationship, we want the company. And let's also throw in the contact. We're coming into land, folks. We'll definitely do a part 2 because there's so much more I could show you. Right, relationship field again. And we want to select the contact. We've not even got into taxonomies either, have we? Wow, amazing. Right, so publish. So let's go back to our user here and add new, and let's add in an opportunity. I've got an opportunity to sell a pen of £1,000. It's a very good pen. It's this beautiful pen with 200-year-old wood. So we're going to say sell, well, let's just say 200-year-old pen. I would put in the details of this potential opportunity. I would relate the company, and we can change that to a drop-down select, etc. You don't have to use this interface. And also Lee Hansen that I'm going to be selling this to, and hit publish. So I've now got my opportunity. I then have my probability. So right now I'm only in needs analysis. So with needs analysis, that's putting a 10% marker against this opportunity, and that's something that we can then use again in the future for for projection, etc. So let's wrap up shortly with two last things. We're going to go into admin columns, and we're just going to finish off that opportunity to show some decent data. Then we're going to talk about owners for the records, and then we'll wrap up at least this, and then we'll carry on in a part 2, which will probably be next week because these are quite time intensive to build. So let's take a look through. Right. First of all, we want our title. We'll leave that in. We're going to add an advanced custom fields. Thankfully, it gives me everything I need. So that's company. I'm going to clone that one. I'm going to edit. I'm going to have contact. Great. I'm going to clone again. I'm going to use the, let's have the probability and the value. So clone and the value. Awesome. So let's press save. Let's allow things like the export as well. Why not? So we're going to allow the export. We want for sure for people to be able to filter by the probability. So that's the stage. Some people might call it stage. Contact. We'll leave value there. And let's say that we want everybody to be able to edit those, which is phenomenal. So we can switch back over as this person, and we now have the options available to us here. We can see our value, needs analysis. If I drop down, I can start to add all of the relevant filters that I want to add. Now I did select those to be against the filter, but they're not showing up. Oh well, we'll come back to that. Did I do that against user role? Oh, you can make them conditional as well. Sorry. Other things you can do on this as well very quickly is you can activate that export for other users. You can also hide other elements. So if you don't want the bulk actions to show, or if you've got a lot of data, so lots of columns, you could activate horizontal scrolling as well. There's all sorts of different things that you can do. You can set your defaults as well for your ascending or descending orders, which is pretty damn phenomenal. But that's about enough there. The only last thing I would say is what you probably want is an owner. So if you're going to have a contact database, you might have somebody who owns a particular company and a particular contact and a particular opportunity. That means they're responsible for it. And you can either do that through relating a user as a custom field, and you can relate multiple users. In this example, I'm actually just going to repurpose the author field just for giggles. But, we can... There are multiple ways you can do it. The reason why I would say use the author field as an initial one, if you don't need to have bulk users related, is it just kind of makes it a little bit easier to report and a little bit easier to filter the data. So to do that, we're going to go into the custom post type UI. We're going to edit. We're going to go down on contacts, all the way down, and we are going to activate the author. Let's do the same for companies. Author. Oh. And then last opportunities and author save, which is pretty cool. Now if we switch back over, let's add the author as a column. So contacts, let's go in here. Let's add the author, and then we can rename that to owner. You can use a simple hook in WordPress to rename, or the language field as well if you want to rename author to owner. In fact, we use not Polylang. We use a language file, and we rename certain things inside of WordPress that we might want to rename rather than using hooks and overriding things. It's just easier to do that. WordPress has a language file that you can use. You put in your alternative translation, and then you put that in the system. So if you want to use the word owner rather than author, you can do that way, or you can use a hook and override that. So we've got author in here. We're going to allow for the inline edit of author against the contact. Add column, author. And so on. You get the idea. Let's switch back to the salesperson. And now you can see that the owner of test owns this particular record. If we're going to companies, opportunities even, you can see the owner of test owns that one. If I was to go ahead and create a, let's go into contact, another contact in here called Matty. Oh, I've got really itchy nose. Let's say he's also at Agency Trailblazer and press publish. If we then switch back over here, go to contacts, you can see that we have an owner of Lee and an owner of test. This also therefore means that you can filter this information. So if we add filter by owner, is Lee or is test. So let's say it's Lee and then filter, and that filters down the data to just the records that Lee Jackson owns, and then that can be exported as well from the system. Okay, I think that's enough for today. We've gone on for 35 minutes. That gives you an example of building a very simple contact database. You can export the data, you can relate the data. In part 2, which will probably be next week, we will deep dive further. So we will show kind of bidirectional relationships of pulling that up, of creating things like meta boxes. And we're trying to do as low code as we possibly can to create an MVP. This is something that you can use to test with your clients, to test your clients' ideas, and as well to test your own ideas. And if you can level this up a little bit and maybe use some slightly different tools and some code, you can actually create some real life end products. But you do need, obviously, the expertise, the skills, the people on site to help support you to build that. If you're going to build something that is fit for purpose for kind of a big, heavy weight usage, and there's things that you would really need to look at there. So, folks, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. If you've got this far in the replay, type in the word replay. Thank you very, very much for that. Let's have a look at the comments very quickly. Let's do this. CRM, yeah, we're on it. Matt Davis, you have no respect for Hello Dolly. This is true. We've said that one. Still here looking for the reveal at the end. I thought I was good with ACF, but it turns out I haven't even scratched the surface. Yeah, you haven't. We haven't. Not even in this. This in 35 minutes is not enough time. John talking about the flexible content. We've had a quick look at that, which was awesome. Matt says, could you link this to a membership? Yeah, absolutely. Your membership will work with WordPress automatically. You can then say what post types are available or not. You could also allow these to be available for your members if you wanted to give your member some sort of database, although you probably need to hook in if you only want them to be able to see their own data, so only things that they own rather than other people's. And I think you can do that via the user role editor, meaning that they can edit their own stuff but not other people's. But you do need to test that very, very carefully. You may need to do code. It's been a while since I've done that. Looks pretty cool, Lee. Thank you very much. Other Matt says, not related to the video really. How have you got your Firefox set up? I don't. So this is Microsoft Edge, and I'm using Groupie. Great name, to group windows together so that I don't have to click around so much. Anastasios, love it. Discovery Blueprint, we've already told you, is live, and thanks a lot. Cool, folks. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Again, if you watch the replay, type in replay. All that is left for me to say is two things. Go ahead and check out the podcast. We've got a great podcast out with the founder of Client Joy, and there's a great deal on AppSumo right now. So go check that out, agencytrailblazer.com. And finally, if you cannot be good, I would implore you to please be careful.